what's up you guys? It's Dorothy and welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, thank you for stopping by. Don't forget to give this video a big thumbs up. Comment down below what you want to see in the future. Click that subscribe button and turn on my post notifications. That way you can get notified every time we read a new chapter of a book or for whichever book we are on. As you know, we are still on A Good Girl's Guide to Murder, which we are almost done with, and yeah, it's getting good. And we still got 2 more books of this series to go until I can get my hands on the 4th book. And yeah, so let's get right into it. I know my hair is kind of a mess right now, we're just gonna have to deal with it. I tried doing space buns for the first time with my short hair and with my bangs, so it kind of turned out the way it did. But anyways, this video may contain sensitive topics and foul language. If you do not wish to continue, please click off of the video now. This is your only warning, so yeah. Alrighty, here we go. We are on chapter 30 of A Good Girl's Guide to Murder by Holly Jackson. So, Naomi's been a bit jumpy since, Kara said, walking Pip down the hall to her locker. There was still something awkward between them, only just starting to melt around the edges. Though they both pretended it wasn't there. Well, she's always been a bit jumpy, but even more now, Kara continued. Yesterday, Dad called her from the other room, and she jumped so hard she threw her phone across the kitchen, completely smashed the screen. He had to send it off this morning to get fixed. Oh, Pip said, opening up her locker and stacking her books inside. Does she need a spare phone? My mom just upgraded and has her old one. No, it's fine. She found an old one of hers from years ago. Her SIM card didn't fit, but we found an old pay-as-you-go one with some credit left. Is she okay? Pip said. Don't know, Kara replied. Don't think she's been okay for a while. Not since Mom died, really. I always thought there was something more that she was struggling with. Pip closed the locker door and followed her. She hoped Kara hadn't noticed the dark circles in her eyes, barely covered by makeup, or the bloodshot veins running through them. Sleep wasn't really an option anymore. Pip had finished a personal essay, read it twice, and deleted it again. It wasn't right. It wasn't her. So now she had to start from scratch with just 2 weeks to go. Her deadline for keeping Naomi and Kara out of everything was ticking down every second, and when she did sleep, there was a dark figure in her dreams, just out of sight, watching her. It'll be okay, Pip said, I promise. Kara gave her a hand squeeze as they turned their separate ways down the corridor. A few doors down from her English classroom, Pip stopped sharply, her shoes squeaking against the floor. Someone was trudging down the hall toward her, someone with a pixie cut, white hair and black winged eyes. Nat, Pip said with a small wave. Nat Da Silva slowed down and stopped just in front of her. She didn't smile and didn't wave. She barely looked at her. What are you doing in school? Pip asked, noticing Nat's electronic ankle monitor as a sock-covered bulge above her shoes. I forgot all details of my life, and were suddenly your business, Piper. Pippa, don't care, she spat, top lip arching into a sneer. If you must know, for your perverted project, I've officially hit rock bottom. My parents are cutting me off, and no one will hire me. I just begged the slug of a principal for my brother's old janitor job. They can't hire violent criminals, apparently. I'm sorry, Pip said. No, you're not. Nat picked up her feet and strode away, the gust of her departure enough to ruffle Pip's hair. After lunch, Pip returned to her locker to grab her history textbook. She opened the door, and a folded piece of printer paper was sitting on the top of her books, pushed through the top slit. A flash of cold dread. She looked over both shoulders to check that no one was watching, and she reached in for the note. This is your final warning, Pippa. Walk away. She read it only once, folded the page back up, and slipped it under the cover of her textbook. She pulled out the book and walked away down the hall. It was clear someone wanted her to know they could get to her at home and at school. They wanted to scare her, and they were succeeding. Terror had chased away sleep the last 3 nights, but if this person was really prepared to hurt her or her family, wouldn't they have done it by now? Pip couldn't walk away from this, from Sal and Ravi, from Kara and Naomi. She was in too deep. There was a killer in Fairview. They'd seen her last capstone project entry, and now they were reacting, which meant that Pip was on the right track somewhere. A warning was all it was. She had to believe that, had to tell herself that when she lay sleepless at night, even though unknown might be closing in on her, she was also closing in on them. Pip pushed the classroom door open with the spine of her textbook and swung forward much harder than she meant. Ouch, Mr. Ward said as it crashed into his elbow. The door bounded back into Pippa, and she tripped, dropping her textbook. It landed with a loud thwack. Sorry, Mr. Ward, she said. I didn't know you were right there. That's okay, he smiled. I'll interpret it as your eagerness for learning rather than an assassination attempt. Well, we are learning about 1930s Russia. Ah, I see, he said, bending to pick up her textbook. So it was a practical demonstration. The note slipped out from the cover and glided to the floor. It landed on its crease and came to a rest, partly open. Pip lunged for the paper, scrunching it up in her hands. Pip? She could see Mr. Ward trying to make eye contact with her, but she stared straight ahead. Pip, are you okay? He asked. Yep, she nodded, flashing a closed-mouthed smile. I'm fine. Listen, he said gently. If you're being bullied, the worst thing to do is keep it to yourself. I'm not, she said, turning to him. I'm fine, really. Pip. I'm good, Mr. Ward, she said, as the first group of chattering students slipped in the door behind them. She took her textbook from his hands and wandered over to her seat, knowing his eyes were following her. Pips, Connor said, shoving his bag down on the place beside her. Lost you after lunch. And then, in a whisper, he added, So why are you and Kara acting all weird? You have a fight or something? No, she said. We're all fine. Everything's fine. Pippa Fitz and Bowie, 10-19-19. Capstone Project Log, Entry 33. Nat De Silva has now climbed to the top of the suspect list. She was at school just a few hours before I found the note, and she has a history of putting death threats in lockers, but it's not definitive, not at all. I didn't actually see her do it with my own two eyes. Could be a coincidence, though. I hate that word. Almost everyone on the suspect list has a connection with high school. Both Max Hastings and Nat De Silva went there. Daniel De Silva used to work there as a janitor. Both of Jason Bell's daughters went there. I don't know if Howie Bowers attended. I can't seem to find any information about him, but all these suspects know I go there. Any of them could have followed me, watched me on Friday morning when I was at my locker with Kara, so maybe it was Nat, or maybe it wasn't. And I've just talked myself back around to square one. Who was the killer? Time is running out. I still think Andy's burner phone is the most important lead. If we can find it or the person who has it, then our job is done. The phone is physical, tangible evidence. Exactly what we need if we're going to find a way to bring the police in on this. They might sneer at a printed photo with blurry details, but no one could ignore the secret second phone of the victim. It's possible the burner phone was with Andy when she died, and it's lost forever with her body, but let's say it wasn't, that she left it at home before she drove away, got intercepted and killed, and then the killer thinks to themselves, oh no, the burner phone could lead to me if the police find it when searching the Bell residence, so they have to go and get it. There are two people on my list who I've confirmed knew about the burner phone, Max and Howie. If Daniel De Silva was secret older guy, then surely he knew about it too. Howie in particular knew exactly where it was hidden. What if one of them went to the Bell house and removed the burner phone after killing Andy before it could be found? I have some more questions for Becca Bell. I don't know if she'll answer them, and this might be a shot in the dark, but I'll have to try. And that is the end of chapter 30. I will see you guys in the next video. Bye.